Hey guys, welcome to Spooky Week. First up, I have done the Coffin wallet by Seemingly Wicked Patterns. This was really fun to make. It's got card slots, it's got a zipper pocket, both of the spaces behind here. You can put not coins, oh my god, not coins, notes and receipts and stuff. And it's got plenty of room for embroidery. I did plan on doing an embroidery, but I just didn't get there. I'm not feeling very well today, so that I have to stop a couple of times, but I refuse to let that get in the way of doing the wallet because I was too excited about it. So I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. Bye. So I've got all my pattern pieces here, and I've actually got them all clipped together, except for this one, because I'm about to show you something with this. So with our card panel liner, what I did was I ironed the interfacing on, and then I've just folded over that little lip that stuck out, and I've ironed that down. If you're having troubles with it ironing down, you could actually just put some double-sided tape under there and hold it in place. And then I'm going to clip that back together. So I've got my two card flap liner pieces, again, interface and clipped there. Now with my card slot panel, what I did was I've used a lot more of these clips to hold all the panel perfectly together. And then I punched through my template and through the vinyl to mark all of the holes. I thought that was quicker. It definitely was. I didn't have to mark anything. And it hasn't damaged my template, so I can just do it again and it's not going to make the holes any bigger next time. So I just thought that was a fun little tip for you to do. And I've already done this piece just because I wanted it to dry, but I am going to show you how to do it in a second on a different piece. So this is my outside and my liner piece. So what I've done is there's little nicks at the top and the bottom that you had to cut and then tuck under. And then you also want to tuck under these sides of the vinyl as well. So this will be the shape. And so this is the raw edge that you will see. So I've tucked it under and I've stuck it down. I'm using Sally's Quick Grip. I got it from my local hardware store. I'm sure there's a lot of other versions of stuff, but this is the one they recommended for me. So I've already sprayed that one. But I'm going to show you how I do the zipper panel. So I've drawn the zipper box that I need to cut out. But how I cut it is I actually, for the most part, use my rotary cutter because I get a straighter line with that. So I'm starting just before the end and finishing just before the end. And so then I can just take scissors and snip that last bit. By stopping just before, it ensures that you're not going to accidentally go past. And so then there's your zipper pocket out. So now while we're here, because we've still got some more gluing to do, I'm going to stick my zipper pull on. I've got random bits of fluff everywhere. So you do that by just sitting both sides in about halfway, and then if you push, they should, as long as they're lined up, they should just slide on. I mean, sometimes they're difficult. I actually had this on off camera and then I thought maybe I should show you what I'm doing. So that end's fraying. So I'm just going to split the zip and start at the other end. So if one end doesn't work for you, just flip the zip over and go the other way. So you can actually see in the zip when they're lined up really perfectly. Which obviously didn't matter that first time around, really, because we're not going to see the end of our zips. They're going to be tucked away. All right, zipper is on. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take some really thin double-sided tape. So I think this is 3mm. I also got this at the reject shop. It's over in the craft section. So I'm just going to put right next to that zipper edge. And pretty much the whole way along, just to make sure it's going to stay where I want it to. Stick stick that down there. And then just peel the backing off, and then we'll set the zip. So I want my zip upwards like this. So I'm also going to balance the zipper pull in the center. And then I can just come and lay this directly over the top. Oh, see, that's shifted. That's no good. I might even do it sideways, might be easier. Directly over the zipper box. And then press. Like so. And so now I can pick it up by itself. So now we need our zipper pocket lining panel. Or card. No, that's card panel. Where's zipper pocket panel? Hold on. This one over here. So this one, I've actually cut out the line. So I cut either side of the line to make an actual gap that you can see through, so that I can just put a pen in and mark that shape. And then I've just folded those out and ironed it down like this. So long as everything's going right, this should line up along your straight edge. So it's going to be a little bit smaller on the other side, but it's meant to be. So now we're going to stick that on. So I'm going to take some baking paper so I don't wreck my board, because that's obviously not something I'm interested in doing. I'm going to lay this one right side down because I don't really want to get glue on my zip. So I don't really want to spray that one, but I'll spray this one. I'm going to make sure you get all sides. And then pop that aside because it's now all sticky. And I want to line the zipper box. So I'm going to line the raw or the not raw edge. I want to go over the zipper box. You want to make sure that your triangles are tucked under. And this panel should just be slightly smaller than your outside one, because it will be hiding all of the raw edges over on this side. Okay, so then from that side, when you open this, you will then not have any raw edges once we stitch it down. This side's being a little bit stubborn, so I'm just going to also chuck in a little bit of double-sided tape. I possibly just didn't spray enough glue on that section, but I won't have it shifting. So I'm going to stick it onto the vinyl because that's not where I sprayed my glue. And then that's just going to help hold that right there where I need it. Done. Okay, to the sewing machine. All right, so I've got my stitch length set to 3.5. So it's between my normal and my decorative because it is joining, but I am using vinyl. So I would still like it to be a little bit longer. And I'm just going to sew around the zipper box. I'm just doing a couple of back stitches at the start. Now that I'm down to the zip, I'm going to have my needle down. I'm going to zip it up. One extra stitch, swivel, and then come back up the other side. Unzip so that my zipper doesn't obstruct my stitches at all. And then back stitch 2 stitches. You never need a lot of back stitches. I don't know why some people do so many, but anyway, doesn't matter. Alright, look, we have a zip in. And it caught all the back. So you should check that actually. Once you've stitched that, then flip it over and make sure that you've caught all the way around the zipper box. Otherwise you're going to have like a gapey bit, which is not what we want. This would be a really cool idea if I had like a little attachment to the zipper, like a little dangle pull thing. That'd be really cool. Unfortunately, me and my 3D printer didn't get along, so we don't have any. So now I'm going to go onto my card slots because I just want to, really. Now my local shop doesn't have any ribbon. So I am using waterproof canvas because it's still thin and I can still get like a nice bend and it'll go down quite flat for me. I also forgot to chop that edge off, and I've also forgot to cut the slits between all of these. So we're going to do that here. I'll grab some stuff so that we can actually see what we're doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the lines across all of the holes. I don't trust myself with this rotary cutter. If I had a smaller one, which I did used to, but I don't know where it is. But if I had a smaller one, I could just get in there with the little one. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut the middle bit with the rotary cutter. And you may ask, why not just do all of it? The official answer is because I've actually, when I tested this off camera, I chopped it. So let's not do that again. So I've cut like half, and then I can take my scissors and on the line just chop out to the edges. So it might actually be quicker to just snip all the way up one side and then the other. You could definitely do this with your snips because it's only a little bit you have to do. The reason you don't do all of it with your scissors is because you've still got to get your scissors in here. All right. Done. Isn't it fabulous? Now I'm going to do this a little bit differently to the way they do it in the pattern because she stitches top and bottom and I'm only going to stitch one of those. Flip her over and grab your, where did I put it? Here. Wasn't quite on the floor. Huzzah. Okay. So I've just got, we're pretending this is ribbon because I couldn't get ribbon. And so, you know what we might do to make this even easier is double-sided tape everything. So we're just gonna, I'm using my really thin tape and I'm just gonna put it under each line. And if I do it now, I can just do it once. So under each of the lines, I'm just putting some double-sided tape. And what this will do is this will help hold everything. And yeah, if I'm doing it all now, I can just peel off the backing one at a time. If you're using double-sided tape that comes in like a roll where you don't peel it off, I would suggest doing them one at a time. You can get like tape dispensers with double-sided tape. In which case, this would not work for you because when you flip it over, it would stick to your table. So in which case, just do one at a time. So, pick off the bottom one. I'm going to start at the bottom. And with this side up, stick it down. So we're sticking it so it looks like it's upside down. And then we're just going to stitch from the front. Now there's two ways you can do this. You can either back stitch at each end or you can pull your threads to the back. I'm going to do both for you just because this is a tutorial and you should learn to know. So I'm just going to go forward a few, 2, and then back 2, and then stitch across, and then back 2. It's all about 2s for me. You don't really need any more than that. Now from the front, that still looks very neat, which is fine. So I'm going to flip it back over and crease it where I've just stitched it. Now again, this should sit pretty flat because of the waterproof canvasness of it all. And then what I want to do, I'm going to take a ruler, and I've got a card just to make sure. So I want my card to sit there. My card is like, what, 3 3/8 tall. So we just need to make sure that we measure. You know what? I'm going to measure 2.5 inches down. I'm going to pop this up out of the way. Measure 2.5 inches down from the slit and put a mark. Because that's how big my card is, so it's still going to stick out. So if we were to pretend to put that in, going the wrong way, right, if we put that in the card, we want it to sit just below the other one, but we still want it to stick out. So that's where it needs to sit. So that's where we want it to sit there. So then you can actually just crease it if you wanted to as well. Whoops. Like that. And then more double-sided tape. So we're going to use a lot of double-sided tape for this, by the way. So down, and I've creased it, and then it's coming back up. And then we're going to pull off the next bit of tape. Like this, making sure it's lined up in the center, and then we're going to stitch below the next line. So the other way to do this is make sure you've got a lot of tail, like that, and then we're just going to stitch straight across. And then leave a lot of tail again, flick it to the back. Now, if you do circles, this is the easiest way I found, you can then just pull the front one out. So the circles brings up the other loop. So there's a loop there, and then we're just going to pull that loop through, and it's now pulled our edges to the back. And then we just tie it off. So I'm going to do 3 knots. And then my thread can be singed because it's the nylon. So I'm going to chop it off and then singe it down. So you can pick which way you want to do these. For the sake of time, I'm going to do it the back stitch way. But yeah, so then you've just got that line. So it does look a little bit neater, but whatever's going. Okay, so then from our first one, we're just going to measure 1/2 inch up and stick another piece of tape. So I'm just going to take my ruler, measure 1/2 inch up, and put down some tape. It's on a bit of an angle there, so I just got to fix that. Then we're just going to bend it down like this, and then make sure it's 1/2 inch. And crease it. What happened here? Hold on. My other one underneath is a little bit wonky looking. There we go. And then that one onto there and crease it. And again, we want to really set this crease so that it's going to sit really flat. And so then we can pull the next one off. It's like a repetition-y dance almost. Alright, and squish it onto there. And then we can stitch under the next one. You also notice I'm stitching a little bit slower with this because I don't want to go too far. It's only a small line and I want it to be neat. So again, grab some double-sided tape. And yes, you're going to watch me do all of these. Stick the double-sided tape. You probably can't see what I'm doing. Right. So I'm just, look out, Scully. Scully's. Right. So I'm putting the ruler 1/2 inch from the other fold and then butting this up against that. Like so. And then you can also use your ruler to really help crease those lines too. The flatter the better. So then you can peel the backing off. And then fold this down onto the other ones like that. And then where it's gripping, we bend it up. Now you also might want to just flip it over and check that your cards are fitting. So that's why I've got one handy for the purposes of checking. But we're obviously fine. So that's good. Yay! Alright, so again, keep this up. And then we're going to stitch. And again, I just did 2 little back stitches, but you can definitely pull it through and tie it. Okay. Next lot. Feel a little bit lightheaded all of a sudden. I think I need some water. Alright, crease that down. Fold this down at the seam we just did. Lay it on itself. Squish. Fold it up. Crease your seam. And then peel off the next layer of tape. You get into a bit of a motion, to be honest. And then we're going to smooth it upwards like that. Flip it over and stitch. Alright, I'm going to hit pause and go and have some water, and I'm just going to finish up the last of these. I ate, I drank, I've done some, and now we're back. So, I'm on the last one. So I'm folding it down, sticking it, picking it up, smoothing it up, and then I'm using my ruler to just really crease them down so that they're as flat as possible. Oops. That's what happens when you don't have enough tail. Okay. Move that out of the way. Okay, so that's my last one. So you might be like, now what? Because technically we still have to seal the top. What I'm going to do is take just a little tiny bit more double-sided tape and stick it in line with the top hole we're going to make. So what I'm going to do is when we rivet stuff into there, I'm going to get it to hold it in place for me. Oh no, wait, hold on. We're going to go down one more and then up. My bad. Okay. Last measuring. Otherwise, I'm just sealing off that hole, and that's a little bit pointless. It'd be like an invisible card slot. It's not sticking because I didn't pull the double-sided tape backing off. Oh, I don't think today is my day. Alright, so smooth down, bring up, and then that is actually going to catch on that other bit of tape I put there. And then we can just cut off the excess. So this piece was the full width, so 150 centimeters, and that's all that's left. So don't shortchange yourself with how much stuff you think you're going to need. All right, so I'm just trimming off those edges. And so now when I put my hole through there, that's going to hold it. And now I've got card slots. Lots and lots of card slots. It is handy to just keep one on hand to make sure... Oh my god, I say hand too much. Keep a card handy so that you can test them. But that's really cool. Okay, on to these bad boys. So we're just going to top stitch these. And I'll be using plastic cam snaps for this, just because I can. They go over there. So I've already double-sided taped them together. You could also use the spray glue if you wanted to. Whatever floats your boat. Pop the pattern pieces aside. So I'm just going to stitch 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Nice and slowly because it's top stitching and so we want it to look fabulous. Last side, back stitch, pull it out just a little bit so it's out of the way, and then I'm going to chain stitch the next one. One little back stitch at the start there, needle down and pivot. Always have your needle down to pivot or you lose your spot. Now that this is up here, I can chop it off out of the way. Up the other side, across, back stitch, pull it out, presto. Now I've deliberately cut this one bigger just to show you this. So see how you can see an edge everywhere? So there's two ways to trim it down. So if you're worried about getting them perfectly together, do it this way. Just make the other one just that little bit bigger and have the smaller one on top for when you're top stitching. So then you can either take your scissors and trim it down, or you can lean against a cutting board and trim it that way. I'm just going to use scissors because I'm sitting here. Look at that. Beautiful. So just double check your other one. I'm pretty sure I cut this one properly. The end's a little bit crooked though. Okay, trim off all your tails, pop them aside. So now we need our snaps. So I'm going to use plastic cam snaps for the joining part here. You can use metal ones, plastic ones. If you wanted to, you could probably use like a really small bag magnet, I suppose. I'm just going to use black. So the way to get in here is you just kind of open these out a little bit. Because we've already punched our hole, you can now just put the backing through the hole like that. Ow. Now I'm going to need a cam press for this. Actually, before I do that, I probably need to punch the hole into this, since it's the hole punching one. Just in the center, at the end. Then you can take this out. And so the cams these cam presses, you get two different ends because the different ends push on the different types. So this one is for this one, and the other one is for the top, like that. So you can actually push them in, it should hold them in place for you. And then you just line this up and squish it down, and it's set. So then we just take out this end, put on the other end, push one of the posts through, and then just squish this one down as well. And then before you put it all away, make sure that they clip together. Obviously they do, you heard it snap, but sometimes they don't, they've got issues, so it's just always good to check. And then I just put these back in the box that they live in. So these little ones here I got from eBay, because you can buy them like, you get like 20 of a whole bunch of colors. And then these big ones where I've got lots, these were for green beans. And so was the press, before you guys all ask me. Okay, so now we're up to attaching this to the top. So I'm going to need the press again. I don't really know where I put it away. I'm going to put a rivet here. But I suppose if you wanted to, you could stitch it. If you don't have a rivet machine, you could just stitch that there, but the rivet's just going to look nicer. So I'm going to need to punch another hole. So I'm going to put this back in. Funnily enough, this is still going to be helpful that I've got two, because the other one's set up 4 rivets. So then from here, I'm just going to punch the hole through my waterproof canvas, which is going to be in here. Right, so this is going to hold the final piece up. The other option is you could have just top stitched along the top of the line. Whatever makes you happy, really. And then I'm going to line this up and then punch from the other way to get the hole into the outer bit. Then I will take my rivet press and a set of rivets. Poke it through there, and then through here, and through there, and put the cap back on, and squish it down with the rivet press. Boom. I know this is sitting up quite a lot. Oh, right. So this is actually quite puffy, but what I plan on doing is I'm going to, once I've finished it, stick it in the heat press with no heat on it. So just leave it off but squish it down, and that's going to help this really flatten out. I mean, it's not too bad. I don't think ribbon would be all that much thinner. But anyway, there we go. Next bit done. I'm going to throw that little bit out because that's no good to me anymore. And this piece is done. I'm just going to tidy up over here. So I've got a lot of pieces going on. We're about halfway, I think. Okie dokie. Oh, someone's calling me. Hold on. Happening. Alright, so now that we've got this piece all beautiful, we're going to take our card panel liner, which makes sense, obviously. And this folded edge goes along that edge. So you're going to line it up, and I'm going to get some Wonder Clips. You could also use double-sided tape if you wanted to. Whatever makes you happy. But I just want to line this up so it's beautiful and lined up, I guess. Alright. Make sure that everything's folded under and it's lined up right even with that edge. So the idea is that you'll have this side here and it's lined up down there. So I'm going to start, it doesn't matter which end you start. But I'm going to do 1/8 of an inch from the edge. So I'm going to stitch forward 2, backwards, and then off we go. And then pivot, back stitch. Awesome, awesome. Right. Zipper flap piece. So on this side, it says to mark that side. So, oh, I already had it that way. So I'm just going to hold it like that, and then we're going to stitch. I'm going to make my stitch length shorter, so it's a joining length. And I'm just going to stitch with right sides together. This side, stopping right at that point, and then pivoting, and then come down. Back stitch. Now before I turn this through, I just want to take some scissors and trim off that corner, so that it's gonna, when it turns through, it's gonna sit nicer. I'll pop that over there. All right, push it out and see how you get like a nice point now. Now if you want, you can iron this. I'm just gonna finger press it. Another option to finger pressing, by the way, is score it with your ruler. Same principle, especially if you don't have nails. Okay, so I'm gonna stitch 1/8 of an inch. I'm gonna put my stitch length back up so it matches everything else. There. Now stitch all the way around, so I'm gonna join everything together now so that it's not flappy. We all know how I like to join pieces, so here we are. Back stitch. Okay, so now you've got your liner. So we can grab our zipper pocket. Wait, what's going on here? Hold on, sorry. I feel like I'm missing a piece here. Where's that piece? That's not it. I was right. I'm just, I don't know, tripping. So I just need to trim off this little bit here because it's going to stick out. But the idea now is that we're just going to stitch straight down here. So I was right. I like when that happens. So this is going to seal off that edge so that your coins and stuff don't come out, but it's still keeping the shape of the coffin. There we go. That makes more sense. Okay. So now we've got our two sides. We should be down to 4 pieces by now, by the way, guys. So you've got your card slots, your zipper pocket, this that we're going to do next, and then your shell. So I've already punctured my holes, but I forgot to do it before I added my backing. So we need to punch some more holes. And then I'm going to, again, use the cam snaps on this, which in retrospect should have done at the same time. I'm just not feeling 100% today, but I refuse to let that get in the way of Spooky Week because I've been excited for Spooky Week for like 4 days. Then I'm going to punch holes at each end of this. 1 and 2. Usually get them in the middle, like centered that way. And then unscrew these. Grab your cam snaps So again, I'm going to do black. I could have also done red. I've got some really fun red ones here. White would have worked. Yellow would have worked. It all just depends on what fabrics you pick, really. Okay, so that one. And then that one. And so I want this one to have this one. So I always want my male on my straps and my female attached to the body. Whoops. That piece is rolling away. Stop it. Pick which side you want your right side to be. Mine both look good, so it doesn't really matter. Because some people's machines just, your top stitching looks better on the top than the bottom. That's not you, that's just how the machine works. Never blame yourself for such things. Alright, then we're going to attach the other one. In a perfect world, I'd have like the cam presses lined up with all the stuff, but that just feels excessive. Alright, so now you need to think about this. So I'm going to show it to you. You want your press to be on the outside. This is where a lot of people stuff up with these things. They put them on the inside instead of the outside. So the idea is that this is going to be a rivet, and then this is how it's going to close. So you need to make sure that you put it on the outside. And yes, when I first started doing these, I definitely put them on the wrong way because I wasn't thinking. All right, squish that down. And then again, check it to make sure it's going to snap in. And, did you see that? I don't know if you saw that or not. I didn't squish it properly the first time. So it's come off here and is actually stuck to there. But this is why we check these things now. There we go. Right, so I am going to need a new post because that one is only semi-squished. These things happen sometimes. It's not a huge deal. You just got to make sure you push harder. Clearly I didn't. Right. This one in. This one on and up. Alright. And again, we're going to squish and I'm going to use more force. You don't want to do so much force you break them, because that's also not ideal, obviously. On, off. There we go. You can hear it snap. And when you pull it, and I'm pulling it deliberately roughly because people aren't necessarily gentle with this stuff. I am one of those people. So that's now fine. Yay! We can just switch to the other cam press that's got the rivet set in it. And then we need some more rivets. Now, because I'm using double capped rivets, it doesn't matter which side I put in to which side. If you were using single capped rivets, you'd put your post into here so that you wouldn't see it. All right. So you gotta make sure it's sticking out, because it's gonna go around like this. So if you've got it on an angle, it's going to sit weird. So just, you can even close it to check, but make sure that that's lined up. And then squish it down. Like so. Ta-da! I got a little bit of extra fabric hanging up here. Apparently my cutting was not as spot on as I was anticipating. That's cool. We just chop it off. Right. So now we just need to do this bit. How exciting. So this side, it all kind of just lines up itself. So we want to take a lot of Wonder Clips and clip it all together. So I'm going to do, whoops, throw it on the floor. These things happen. So I want to line up the main sections first. And again, see how I've got this fabric sticking out? We don't want that. So I'm just going to trim it down just a little bit. I still want it to be caught in the seam allowance. Like when it's stitched, I just don't want it hanging out past my vinyl. So I'm doing all the corners first. And then I'll come back and do the big long straight bits. So you do as many or as few clips as makes you happy. There's no right or wrong answer. That's enough for that side for me. And then we're going to take this side. And I'm going to start at the bottom. I've also, this is all dry by the way. So the spray glue that I put on, I made sure it was dry before I started or continuing on with the tutorial. So don't do this real time with me because I let it dry. It's very important to let it dry. Otherwise, right now when I'm squishing everything, it might stick. Like if you've oversprayed in any way, shape or form, it would then be over sticking, which is not something you want. Okay, corner. Pointy corner. It's not so much a corner, I guess. Clip down the side. So when I stitch this, I'm going to try and stitch pretty close to this edge. Whoops. There. There. You get back on there. Now, with this bit here, what we actually do is we clip it up. So we're just going to stitch down across like this, and this bit's going to be a bit flappy. So the way I want to do that is I'm just going to clip that over there. And then me and my dodgy folding in this corner, I'm just going to fix it now before I stitch. So I want this to line up pretty dead on with the edge of the vinyl so that it looks neat. So I'm just going to add some clips in there. I did glue it earlier. I'm just unhappy with how I did it. So I'm going to do it again. There we go. So this may seem like a lot of clips, but I want to just be able to stitch without thought. So let's do that. And then we're done. I'm really, really excited about this. So I'm actually going to start, where do I want to start? I want to start where they're not going to notice it. So I'm going to start at the join at the bottom because nobody is going to look at the join at the bottom. I'm not going to backstitch because I'm going to go all the way around. I get to finish where I started. So I'm not going to backstitch. I am going to stitch slowly, and I'm going to move Scully where I can just throw everything in. And then I'm going to pivot and up the side. I feel really weird. I'm sewing in shoes today. It's an odd feeling. I'm also stitching from the front, which wasn't really my plan, but we're doing it anyway. All my clips were facing in the opposite direction. That's what I had planned to do. But anyway, doesn't matter. Because I've clipped everything so well, I know I'll be fine. Down and pivot. Pulling the clips out of the way as you go. to hope we don't run out of bobbin thread amidst all this. You should always check that before you're doing your final top stitch to make sure you've got enough. I assume I've got enough because I can't hear it playing up yet. And I'm now nearly back to the start. Back stitch, pull it out. Fantastic. Chop off the giant tail. And then fold it over to make sure that it stays shut. So again, I'm going to press this open flat. Oh, I'm pulling on the wrong side. Duh. I'm like, why isn't that coming off? So then you can get your money into here. You've also got like a second spot you could put for receipts, your cards, and the zipper pocket. So you should be able to stick your hand in there and there's no open edges. So that's something you should probably check as well before you officially say finished. But I can officially say finished. I love it. It's awesome. I hope that was helpful to you guys. And I will hopefully be feeling better for tomorrow's video. All right, bye.